Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to Life on the Wrist. Hope you guys are doing well today. We're going to be talking about the Legacy Machine #1. This is one of our all-time favorite watches from MB&F. We are moving over to the Legacy Machines. We have been covering the Horological Machines for the last 2 years. We've been slowly releasing videos kind of going over each of those pieces, and we thought we would shift over to the Legacy Machine line of watches that MB&F creates. If you don't know about MB&F, they kind of have two main lines of watches. They're horological machines and then they're legacy machines. The horological machines are these really out there creative ways of telling time, and then the legacy machines, which is what I'm going to be talking about today, is basically MB&F's take on more traditional timekeeping machines. He describes it as, you know, when I think about when he was creating legacy machines, it's his way of saying, what would happen if I was born 100 years ago and I was designing watches? What are the things that would be inspiring me to create these pieces and make them a little bit more traditional? And so he came up with the legacy machines. And the Legacy Machine #1 was the first machine that they released in this line of watches. And so I'm going to be going over this watch, giving you some details. It's one of my favorite watches of all time. It really captured me, and I've been a fan of it ever since it was released. Yeah, we're gonna normal format. We'll go over kind of describing the watch, the inspiration behind it, and then some of the features of it. I'll disclose it at the beginning of this video, but I do not have one of these machines in my possession, but there will be a ton of pictures and videos on this that I'll put on top of me talking, so that you can see the watch as much as possible. So look out for that. But I do not have this watch. I've gotten some comments saying, you know, you don't have the watch. I'm telling you now. So if you're not looking for one of those videos, you can click off now. So the Legacy Machine #1 was kind of the origin of the legacy machines. It was originally released in 2011, and this was a real interesting time because we had only really seen the horological machines, and then when this one came out, it was, you know, Max's take on traditional watchmaking. The watch itself, the biggest part of it is probably this massive balance wheel that you see floating above the dial. But to go over the watch a little bit more, it comes in various case metals: red gold, white gold, platinum, titanium, and stainless steel. The watch itself is 44 millimeters in diameter, so a fairly large watch. The watch itself, if you're looking at the dial, you will basically see a really beautiful colored dial, and then you have these, they look like sub-dials, but you have two dials at 9 o'clock and at 3 o'clock with these beautiful blued hands, porcelain white dials, and those they have the hours and minutes there, and these are completely independent dual time zone displays, and so you can actually have 2 times on the dial of your watch. Then the next thing that you see is this almost like bridge that pops up of the dial from like 11 and 1 o'clock, and it's holding up this balance wheel that is above the 2 sub-dials. The inspiration from that for the little piece that's holding up the balance wheel is actually from the Eiffel Tower. And then at 6 o'clock, if you look there, you can actually see, I believe this was the world's first vertical power reserve indicator, which is obviously a huge feat to put together. When you flip the watch over, you obviously are going to have this really beautiful display case back. The watch itself was developed by Jean-François Mojon and Kari Voutilainen. You've heard of them on other pieces that we've discussed, but two incredible watchmakers that have had some really great success over the last couple of years. They designed this watch. It's a manual wind with a single mainspring barrel, so you actually have one mainspring powering those two sub-dials. The flying balance wheel on top of the movement is actually 14 millimeters in diameter, so it's a really large. If you look at the movement of this watch, the finishing is obviously of an extreme high quality, and if you look at the case as well, it's really beautiful. There's brushed and and polished sections that really really show the angles of this case really beautifully. Obviously, if you have something that's suspended above the dial, one thing that's pretty iconic about this watch is you have a domed crystal, which allows for all these things to be on the top of that dial. So another really cool feature, especially if you're looking at it from the profile view. You've got 2 crowns to adjust the time. Those are kind of by, what is that? Like by 8 o'clock and by 5. And so those will adjust the 2 sub dials. I think at the time this was the largest flying balance wheel, but obviously not anymore. Very, very unique vertical power reserve indicator that takes its inspiration from the marine sextant, which I thought was really cool. So there's a lot of things that are actually going on with these watches. You know, I think your inspiration obviously comes from historical watchmakers who this is kind of the finishing that they would apply to these pieces. But then you also have inspirations like the Eiffel Tower for the piece that's holding up the balance wheel, the marine sextant that was the inspiration behind the vertical power reserve indicator. And so your inspiration kind of comes from multiple places. To go over some of the different variations of this watch, so like I said, the watch comes in various case metals. There is a red gold, 18 karat red gold case. This has a silver dial. Then you have a white gold case, 18 karat white gold case, and that has a gray dial. It's like a slate gray dial. There's a platinum version. These were limited to 33 pieces. And this obviously is a platinum case with a blue dial. And then there was a couple that were made in titanium. This was the LM1 for the MAD gallery in Dubai. These were produced in 13, there are only 13 of these produced. And this came with a really beautiful kind of like emerald green dial. All of those were kind of the original variations of the LM1. And then there was the final edition that they released quite recently, I think it was 2017. The LM1 final edition. This came in stainless steel. It was limited to 18 pieces and it has a really nice brown dial that matches the strap really nicely. One of the things that you can notice about this piece is, compared to the originals, is this piece, you know, the bridge that was holding up the balance wheel on the originals actually had gaps in the metal, and they actually led up to the top. This one, on the final edition, they actually adjusted that, and they have basically, it basically looks like 2 pipes, but basically 2 rounded pieces of metal with no holes in it that holds up the balance wheel. So a little subtle difference between the final edition and the originals that were released on this final edition that they designed. I thought that was really cool. Would I recommend this watch? Absolutely. Like this is like me, I think, in a nutshell. It's a different way of telling time, but it's an absolutely beautiful piece. Obviously it is a little bit bigger. I have smaller wrists, but I would totally wear this. I wouldn't really, you don't really wear these to fit your wrist, if you want to say that. This is a piece of art that you're carrying along with you. Of these, I probably want the stainless steel one. I really love the blue dial, or the brown dial, but I think I would also be interested in the platinum version with the blue dial, because blue is obviously my favorite color. Those are both limited editions. You know, there's only 51 of total between the 2 of those, so I don't know if I'd be able to find them, but you know, a really, really beautiful piece. Like I said, the inspiration was also really great. Max and team, you've created a really beautiful watch with the LM1. I know it's one of the original ones that you produced, and it's just an absolutely beautiful thing. So thank you for producing it. One of the things I also forgot to mention is this watch was really loved by everyone when it was released. At the 2012 GPHD, they won the Best Men's Watch Prize at GPHD in 2012, which is a phenomenal accomplishment, because you basically have a jury of absolute scholars when it comes to the watch industry voting on what the best piece was, and this one won that. It was also awarded the public prize at GPHG, which is actually voted on by fans. So it actually captured, you know, let's say scholars and people within the industry, but also enthusiasts who were interested in these pieces. So an absolute incredible piece within their lineup. I hope you guys enjoyed going over the Legacy Machine number 1. It is one of my favorite pieces, and so it's only fair that I gave it some time on Life on the Wrist. It really is one of my absolute favorite watches, and I'm excited that hopefully I'll be able to add this to my collection. I don't know when, but I really hope that I'll have the opportunity to do that soon. Just because of how much it's captured me and played a big part in my watch journey. So let me know in the comment section below what you think about the Legacy Machine number 1. I would love to hear your thoughts. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to smash that like button for us. It really does help us out. And subscribe to the channel if you are a watch enthusiast. We want to get these videos to as many watch enthusiasts as possible. All we do is talk about watches, so liking and subscribing would help us out immensely. And with that said, guys, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.